Welcome back to what could be potentially be the final game in our lower bracket finals. PSG now with the lead at 2-1 going into game 4. We do have some news about the side selection. J Team, to our surprises, actually goes on to the blue side, not trying to take away the last pick from Hanabi. Before we go even deeper into the matchup, big thank you to our sponsors at CTBC and Caliber. You make this league possible. Now, Nightstar, I want to play a little game with you. It's called a guessing game. What is going to be the blue side first pick?
Surely it can't be Aphelios. I feel like
Could be.
I mean,
Sure?
they really want the Aphelios for some reason. And I think it's because if you look at the other things that they have played and gotten wins on, the only other champ they win on is Jinx. But in that particular game, they banned it out. And I think if they leave it open, the side of PSG are very, very willing to take Jinx and allow them to get Aphelios. So it almost feels necessary, but the Viego could be a focus because I think that was really the one strong pick the side of PSG got that really the side of J Team didn't have answers for. Because if you look at Sylas, it probably doesn't come through if the Alistar didn't get locked in the second phase. So you can prevent that to a certain degree.
Yeah, Silas is definitely not everyday kind of pick that you can take blind or anything like that. But I agree with you. I think the big two suspects here are definitely going to be the Aphelios and the Viego. Lee Sin, 100%. J Team's, PSG is just going to ban that one away. But I would like to talk to you about these two win cons because, in my view, the only thing that actually matters for these two teams, for J Team, just have a carry jungler, period. That's it. And for PSG, have a scaling carry top laner. The rest of your map, in my eyes, literally doesn't matter. Like, just don't lose too hard. Hanabi wins, GG. It's not that complicated, right? Am I like oversimplifying things?
I think, like, technically for J Team, they could have delved more into driver's champion pool, but on blue side, I think you're very limited in that impact. So I would agree that it has to be more so about Kongre. Okay, a slight change in the bans with the Rakan ban coming out from the side of J Team. I don't think PSG are going to change too much here. They should still ban out the Zeri and probably go for... They might go for the Viego ban themselves.
It's kind of interesting to see the Vex ban on top of the Ahri ban. I think most teams would have preferred to go with the Ahri from Bay, but they're sticking to that one. And PSG now have to decide, are they going to hand over Aphelios? I think they should, but you never know. J-Team going to ban the Nautilus once more.
Double support ban in the first phase, even though Leona is still left available. I think Leona is just the preferred pick from PSG right now because it offers way too much in the current melee engaged support champion pool. So PSG, we'll see what they go ahead ban away on this last pick. Viego's still left available. None of the 80 carries this time around didn't get touched, and it will be the Viego read. So I think PSG come out ahead in this first ban phase.
Yeah, I have to concur with that one. We talked about the two options, but Aphelios, we were not that hyped about this one. I think Ahri would be a better selection here. Even though we didn't see a great game from Uniboy, it still does pack a lot of potential. The Zoe is also up out of the Uniboy champions. Syndra and Zoe are both there, but he's going to stick with the Ahri, which I think is traditionally been seen as the definitely stronger side of the three tempo picks.
Yeah, and I think the read is, hey, if we take away the Vex and we still get the Ahri, then maybe our pick power onto Bay is able to stick a little bit better. Of course, you have better survivability on Vex than some of these other mid lane champions that can get caught out or that do get caught out in those situations because you have a little bit of a shield, you have the fear. But PSG, they'll go back to the Xayah and they get themselves the Hecarim. So I mean, my feelings on the Xayah coming in from Unified are a little bit down. compared to his previous performances, but this is still probably the strongest AD champion available in the meta.
Yeah, it does well in the laning phase. And as we said, PSG, all they need to do is just win top lane. Like, they're not playing for scaling in the bottom side. They're saying, like, well, you know, outside, Unified, you guys can take it slow. Some of your fight selections haven't been all that great, so, you know, let's just make sure you just push and don't die. It's good enough. And Nabi's got you covered. So we'll see what PSG are going to select here for their mid laner. Akali would be a very interesting pick. Super weak in lane. I don't think that would go through, and it will be the Veigar. I've seen this matchup a couple times, but it does get pushed in early.
Yeah, the Veigar has a good matchup into the Ahri, being able to throw down the cage to prevent her from really doing anything in these team fights, being able to utilize her own ultimate. But at the same time, you do give up your mid lane priority early on. So we'll see if J-Team are able to utilize that to attack the map. They also take away the Leona pick, I think, which is the really big thing. So PSG, now where do they go? Does Driver also have his own Sylas pickup here? Or is he going to be taking that Graves up into the top side? For PSG, I think this is a good setup for Braum in this instance. You can play a little bit more defensive. Maybe they look for a Tom Kench for a support. But when it comes to these bot lane or to the bans, we have the Gragas taken away from Driver. So he's going to be set on a different champion this time around. And we also have the Kai'Sa taken away from Lil V. So both the Philios and the Jinx, they don't have a great time into the Xayah pick.
Yeah, we could see that Lil V is having a hard time coming up with the champion that he wants to play right here. The GP, no surprise, is going to be the ban, and maybe Driver has to go back to his namesake in the Sion pick. That is why he's called the Driver. He's very good at driving tanks around the rift, so potentially. PSG this time around, likely to show their support pick. Aren't a lot of options right here. They could definitely still go for the Alistar. You know, they don't have to fear the Sylas coming out the other end.
Yep, and it looks like that's what they're looking for. It adds that extra little bit of engage. If they win for something like a Braum, then you're really relying on Juhan and maybe Hanabi with his last pick to be your big frontline engaged champions. And for the most part, Kai Wing's been tasked with the duty of trying to engage. And here we go. We're going to see possibly just another tank in this top side, but this time around, I don't think it's as effective because against the Veigar, he can burst out tanks. He does have the persistent DPS towards the mid-late game to eat through the frontline champions like a Sion, like a Leona.
Yeah, we'll see. This is potentially J-Team's last game of the playoffs, and we gotta go back to the Aphelios, boys. We gotta give it one more shot. I don't blame them. Like, looking at these compositions, there's not a lot of options left here, and the Aphelios, at least with that BT, is not going to get chunked out too early. So J-Team with the composition, I think that they are very comfortable with. PSG, on the other hand, I'm not really sure what this comp does. I'll be completely honest. Looks like they can go for a 4-1 angle. Aatrox hard counters the Sion.
Yeah, Aatrox does well into the Sion, but it would almost be just exclusively sort of a 4-1 setup because I don't think he's going to be able to team fight very well against an Aphelios. This time around for J-Team, this Aphelios pick is being played around. He has a Leona, he has a Sion. These are two big frontline champions to sit in front of this Aphelios pick to allow him to actually do DPS. And for PSG, they don't have enough dive and gap close ability to get onto the Aphelios, but name of the game once more is going to be kill the Aphelios.
Oof, that's a lot of tanky boys that they're going to need to go through to get to that Aphelios. We'll see if that can happen. And J-Team this time around, they do have a carry coming in from Kongre. They look so much better when Kongre can actually deal damage compared to when he's on the utility pick. I think it's really just night and day. So I want to ask you this, but you know, coming into this one, potentially the last game of the series, which composition do you favor?
I'm going to be a little bit more J-Team favored this time around. I think the changes, again, PSG hasn't done enough with their draft to put enough threat onto this Aphelios pick. Maybe if it was in a Malphite here being able to kind of handshake that top lane. Yes, you're not going to be able to hard win that matchup, and maybe that's not what you want from Hanabi, given the fact that Hanabi's just really outshining Driver by a nautical mile in this series so far. But you just need clear target focus onto this Aphelios. If you kill this Aphelios once more, I feel like just J-Team just have no grounds to stand on.
All right. Kill the Aphelios, the name of the game. What we've seen from Little V, he does give you a lot of chances. I've got to be completely honest with that one. And we'll see if PSG can finish this one off to get their rematch with CFO, or if we are going to move into Silver Scrapes. This is Game 4, starting right here. We have seen level 1s from all of these games coming in from PSG. They typically do go into the bot lane to drop wards, or they do late invade. So we'll see if this time they do anything cheeky. Taking a look at the start here, we do have the phase rush coming out from Kongre. So this one's a little bit more high mobility, and the Predator from the Veigar, as we normally see.
Yeah, the Veigar, you can really just go a number of keystones and it'll be fine on Veigar. So that's why we see more so the Predator, because he can zoom into other lanes, which shores up one of his weaknesses, that he isn't exactly the most mobile mid laner in trying to attack the side lanes. And this quiet level 1, I would say, again, benefits PSG because it fits more of their playstyle. They like to just be as controlled as possible, and it's up to J-Team to try and shake things up. Although, late
invade not spotted by PSG, actually. Yeah, PSG didn't see this at all. Yeah, interesting.
This is big. Although they do see Uniboy coming through that pixel brush, so they might have an inkling.
I think they definitely know about this one, just based on the pings that they're sending down the ramp, but it will be a semi-vertical jungle, and typically when you're playing just a weak side top laner, vertical jungle like this is A-okay. You almost don't care if your top lane really gets ganked, as long as his wave isn't too messed up. In the meantime, let's see if PSG are able to stop this Gromp take. Kongre taking it down, but Kaiwing is coming in for him. He, of course, doesn't have his combo, but it will stop Kongre from taking over the entire side, at least not at the pace which he wanted to. The Warsu still spot him.
Still looking.
I was sticking on him. This is interesting. Oh, wait. Ignite goes down. They're going for the kill. What? Huh?
Huh.
I confused.
Think he forgot to skill an ability there, because he didn't cast anything. Or maybe he went for the Q flash?
Uniboy is going to be the target here. He has to burn his flash, decimating smash backwards. He should be fine into this one. And the turret's going to deal quite a bit of damage, but he will be okay. Driver in the meantime. Ooh, this is getting really dicey. Finally hits his level 3. Slow down onto a Nabi. I do want to mention, Driver, this is his best champion, and why he is called Driver in the first place.
Yes, he is on the Scion pick, and perhaps has an opportunity to look for a solo kill.
Nabi's thinking the same thing right here, too. He doesn't get the Infernal Chains to land, but he's got his Conquerors, and Driver has to back out.
And now Juhan back to full HP. Yes, he took a large chunk from that tower, but able to get it all back with the red buff. Now able to secure himself a blue buff. So it's vertical jungle set up by PSG and J-Team here. And that means you're going to get a lot of free space for your Aatrox to get the itemization he needs to start plowing through and eat through this Scion early on. Whereas on the flip side for J-Team, this has just been their MO. We try and play around Lil V as much as possible, and hopefully he's able to carry. It's been pretty mishmash results, and I think it's not so much of Lil V's performance as much as PSG's draft and whether or not they allow the Aphelios to actually play the game.
Yeah, it's been really odd. J-Team traditionally has gotten a lot of their damage from Little V, and that's why they're so much still hinging on his lane. Though I do kind of feel like Kongre in the playoffs, for me at least, has been kind of the more core carry out of the two. Driver getting a lot of damage, chip damage in onto Nabi, but he still has to be very careful. And Nabi with one rotation could deal massive amounts of damage here. Driver trying to bait him to engage. Graves is not spotted, just waiting for that E to come out. but Hanabi holding on. He's got the wave push. He doesn't need to do anything too drastic here. And we do have Kongra now going back. I do want to point out the jungle situation is actually a little bit worse for Juhan. Kongra does have the full bottom side once again, so he has more camps to still go to, and he was already one camp up at that point. So vertical jungle does work out for the side of J-Team, and we also have to remember that there's nothing bottom lane on Kaiwing. Kaiwing just suddenly got Mad Cow disease and burned both of his summoners for absolutely nothing. We'll see if that comes into effect, though, if they can find the event horizon. Nope, just going to pull off for now.
At least he does have, of course, the Hex Flash, which is pretty good in lane. Honestly, probably the better summoner in lane phase.
Oh, and so going to face check, and his 80 carry isn't there. That's so much free damage on the other side. They're going to go for the kill. Flash in by Unified, but the stun goes down. Unified could be dying here. One last auto attack. First blood to Little V, and Kongra tries to round out the backside, but he's going to get found by Hecarim here. Kongra pops over the wall with the flash. Still a solid win for PSG.
Oh man, just another Xayah play that goes horribly wrong for PSG Unified. Now that means he takes a death, and I think Lil V is very happy to see this result. Again, we're dumping all of our abilities onto a Leona that can press W and get infinite damage reduction. So I think PSG, they don't usually play against Leona because they're the ones that have the Leona, but unfortunately they misplay in the same manner a lot of their opponents play against their Leona.
Yeah, that was definitely a flash tiff on the support right there. Kaiwing isn't able to chase down the kill, and Unify flashes so far forward for that one. There was a minion wave. Little V was perfectly comfortable unloading all his damage. He did have the Infernum right there. And, oh, flash in from Little V. Here comes the engage, and Unified is down. What is happening to PSG's bottom lane? This is probably the most ridiculous bot lane performance we've seen in their postseason.
Yeah, Unified. I think it's time to shelf this Xayah pick, or perhaps maybe pivot towards the crypt build, which I know he is pretty familiar with. Of course, a very legacy player in his own right, so he can certainly play these more scaling AD carries if he is given the opportunity or given the chance to. But as things stand, not looking pretty on this, I believe, third Xayah game.
Yeah, this postseason has definitely been weird for our PSG bot lane duo. A lot of weird communications and just all-ins when it didn't seem really particularly necessary. And with this change in the matchup, with I feel like Little V feeling quite comfortable here, how do you see that shifting the entire map away?
Yeah, I mean, this is a support matchup that's really predicated on whoever engages first typically loses, right? When you have an Alistar, when you have a Leona, because you can just turn onto the other AD carry. But Hanabi, still, you know, I mean, this is what the draft is built for, right? We're trying to set up for a 1-4 for our Aatrox, and so far, you know, not a huge CS lead, but he is going to be scaling up with the Conquer and also the Cull pickup. So eventually when he does come online, that's going to be their big pressure point. But J-Team, until then, they kind of just get to do whatever they want on this bottom half of the map. And Unified Kaiwing, they looked for an opportunity, they fumbled it, and now it's it's going to look really ugly for like the next 2 minutes.
Yep, we do have J-Team just about to take down double plates onto the top side here. In the meanwhile, PSG, though, do get their say into the top lane. Some dirty farming by Hanabi. Cloud Soul for the Herald trade, which I think both teams are fairly happy with this one. They did some zoning in the bottom lane in the meantime, so you're very standard trading away Unified for Hanabi. That has been going down into this series. And I consider Herald most likely going into the top lane, I would guess.
I mean, it has to be top lane to play around this Aatrox pick. You just need that extra gold infusion. And again, the return on Unified at the moment just hasn't been great on the Xayah pick. So even if you do get gold into it, you do worry if you're going to get max value return. And up in this top side, it is still really hard to push against a Scion. Even though he is a tank, you can do a lot of damage to him. He can kind of ignore you for the most part and just clear out the waves. And if you're able to do that, it slows down how much you can get out of this top lane.
I'm taking a look at the mid lane build right here, and if I'm not mistaken, that is a full engage. Yeah, Shirelia Vigar. If he wasn't fast enough with Predator, he'll chase you down with the extra movement speed on the other item as well. So
yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
what do you make of this?
Interesting. I think it's just trying to augment his Hecarim as much as possible. Just get him as much movement speed, but it does mean he's going to be a much less of a damage threat because he won't have the extra AP that might come out from something like an Everfrost. But he will spike a lot earlier. That is something to keep note of when you go for a support item in the mid lane, is that you are going to come online much faster. Oh baby, play-by-play Knights.
Never mind, I'm back. Sorry. Play-by-play Night Star. Go back into the closet. It's still my job here. I got you covered. And no worries, man. I just got the freeze to stop here. We do have the Hullbreaker coming in for Hanabi. Pretty much expected here. And now we get to see Bay with this Predator. Can he make something happen? So far, J-Team still with a commanding lead in the bot lane. Drake still a ways off, 2 minutes off until then. But you can tell that entirety of J-Team has just been trying to shift focus into that bot lane, trying to cut off Kai Wing and Unified from farm.
Yeah, that's the play. And I mean, Juhan, time is ticking on this Rift Herald. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to throw it down. And because of, the how far behind your bot lane is, you can't go there. Mid lane is building support item. Not completed, can't go there. And top lane, like, Hanabi, he can't get to the tower. That's the issue. Driver just cuts off the wave consistently. Has armor to tank the minions and has plenty of wave clear because he's Scion. So
it's actually just straight up timing out.
Yeah, I think Juhan.
Oh, he has to go top. He has to go top. Okay.
He's gonna throw it top, but he's not gonna get any value for his top laner. That's the issue, right?
Yeah.
He tosses it down, and he's going to be the only one that gets value. But he is going for the carry build, which I do appreciate. Unify is coming under fire though.
Moonlight Vigil misses. Sorry. So the Gravitum not there to follow down, and as you said, the first tower doesn't go down. Pretty weak drop. If you ask me about that, I don't think Hanabi actually got the gold from that either. So we'll find out later on, but it doesn't seem like the best use. And we do have the Shirellia's Reverie coming in. Once again, Unify just getting completely zoned out despite him being on the Xayah. And Aphelios going to take the first brick of the matchup here. PSG are forced to shift their bot lane mid.
Yeah, this is a great look for J-Team being able to get this Aphelios ahead. I mean, part of it came down to the really 2v2 blunder that came out from PSG, but J-Team take that mistake and run with it, right? Even if you do make, even though you do have the worst matchup, if you're able to take advantage of any opening that the side of PSG give you, then you just gotta take it and run. And so far, they've done so. Hanabi trying to get this last plate before plates expire. We'll be able to do so. So going back, I said I did like the build coming out from Juhan, going for a Divine Sunder. He's going to be really tanky. Again, with a Ahri pickup, you're not worried as much when it comes to late game damage on to shredding through your front line. So more carry oriented, has the Conquer as well. This is a scaling build that Juhan can win team fights later on in the game with.
Yeah, especially when you have a more of a utility Vygar. It's just kind of like stalling out the early game, waiting for this Vygar to go up, waiting for this Aatrox to be of use here. So I agree. I think the build makes a lot of sense here. PSG going to converge onto this Herald that's just about to pop, and they have full control topside. The amount of wards that they have here because of Hanabi winning his lane is pretty difficult to surmount. J-Team looks like they want a challenge, though. They have brought everyone here. Hanabi doesn't have his TP, so it's a good chance for J-Team to actually regain some control into this topside river.
And at the very least, because of what Hanabi has been able to do with this Aatrox, it's limited the Scion's roam potential, trying to get in position to use his ultimate because he's constantly pushed into tower. So far, impact not being felt by Driver when it comes to the global map, but set up for Herald. Pretty good zone pressure coming in from the Scion.
You have to imagine that the engage is coming in. We do have Hanabi on the flank and the Eclipse on the front here, but the Everfrost catches too. The front line is decimated from PSG. They just walk straight into it, and Unified has to pop his Featherstorm defensively. Will the next charm come through? It gets the cleanse. A big win for J-Team. Let's see, Hanabi trying to play zone away, but Kongya is still going to collect it, and now he's chasing the God of War himself away from the scene. PSG have the flank. They wanted to engage, but I feel like too much of a faceplant? Question mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Way too much faceplant there. They needed the flank to develop a little bit more coming in from Hanabi to pull people away from that main angle of engage. And remember, both of these compositions this time around, it's all about Lil V. If they are able to kill Lil V, that might help their odds, but they're gathered up, they're clumped up. Lil V has the perfect team fight weapons, chakrams, and that extra range to then be able to just say no. He stiff arms them away, and he just takes full ownership of that fight and wipes them out.
I gotta say, I almost forgot about Driver. I really did. I think I underestimated him. He did so much work in that last team fight right there. He got a 3-man decimating full charge smash into...
Yeah, the chain CC.
Yeah, that was just beautiful to watch into the Everfrost. And Kaiwing and Juhan, I'm not even sure Kaiwing got his ultimate off. It was like, poof, instantly dead. So, beautiful stuff to watch from J-Team. And this is kind of the Driver we were used to in 2021. Not the fighter Driver in 2022, but much more experience with how to play frontline and getting crowd control down. I'm glad that he gets to play with this much value into the series.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime you move into playoffs, like when the pressure's on, just play these scaling tanks, right? That's just how playoff meta tends to play out here, as Hanabi goes for a 1v1, but it's not a 1v1.
Yeah, there is some help coming in from Kongya, but Hanabi is very tanky, very hard to kill down. There's also... Sorry, I can't help myself.
Speedy Waddle!
Oh, yeah, the Waddle is just so funny. It's too good. He didn't even pop his Shurelleries, and he was that fast. So, Shurelias, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it was, just all about that Predator. Zooming on in. And I mean, that's the value of the Predator, right? So that is a good cover play coming in from Bay to make sure his top laner is okay. And at the very least, you know, the CS differential isn't all that much from the side of PSG. They're down in CS and, you know, a lot of these lanes, but the only big gap is Juhan. And part of that is, well, Hecarim doesn't farm the jungle as fast as something like a Graves once he gets rolling. And now, you know, when you're just trying to make up for lost space, you do have to give up some of your camps in order to try and put out the fires on these sides.
Yeah, he is falling behind compared to Kongya by quite a bit. And we do have an Infernal Dragon that is going to potentially go into an Infernal Soul. Very good for the composition of J-Team. They are running double 80 carries, so happy to see this one. And they do have momentarily vision control over this side of the river. We are going to see Uniboy pop his teleport pretty early on to make sure it stays in their favor. And Predator also popped by Bay just to keep himself close to the action here. Once again, Driver hiding in this Paintbrush is going to be so devastating if he can find those decimating smashes.
They're almost done.
Once again, Kaiwing going to go in, take half his HP. In
Teleport
goes
coming in, Hanabi.
the Juhan, and they are starting onto Little V, but Little V survives and gets the kill. He flashes out away from Hanabi's Q3, and they get 2 kills plus the objective. Now turning around to chase PSG away. Little V was the target, but he survives.
And, well, I mean, it plays pretty much exactly the plan from both sides. PSG, they need to dive onto Lil V, and J-Team, this time around, they've built a composition that can look to peel back and protect this 80 carry, and that's exactly what happens here. Once you have that choke point controlled with that Scion, it's so hard to navigate. They come in on the flank, and yes, they're able to put some damage onto Lil V, but there's only 2 members onto the backline, which isn't enough damage against red whites.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Lil V, he's able to just tank him up, and now he has the Bloodthirster. That means it's even harder to dive onto the backline. Last time, there were 4 dive champions. This time, there's really only 2 dive champions, unless if Kaiwing's able to get a really nuts flank.
And look where the kills are going. I know this might not be the best for a J-Team in terms of their carries, but 2 kills, Driver, basically is pretty much unkillable against Hanabi. I don't think Hanabi can actually just straight up push him, especially not into River anymore. So the win cons from PSG are not working out. Look at this, Driver's even walking forward. He's like, okay, you do a bit of damage. I'll respect you, but not before I get a couple punches in.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised Hanabi doesn't go for the Stride Breaker to add a little bit more sticking potential onto a target like the Game4 Aphelios. But here, he's just opting for the extra sustain for the 1v1 in this instance. And yeah, now, like, how do you kill this Ion? Because you've gone for a utility build on your mid laner. This Veigar, yes, eventually he'll be able to eat through this Scion. But as it stands now, he's got no damage. He can't. He's going for the Void Staff to help remedy some of the power here that he's lost. Because you look on the other side, it's already a Banshee's Veil completed by Uniboy.
He's not afraid of this one at all. Look at how much damage Driver is just soaking up. He actually won this trade. He took every single skill shot, and it's like, yeah, I'll be fine. So it seems like PSG are still a long ways off into actually coming out with a 4-1. And I have to say, for the side of a champion like Aatrox, he doesn't function the same way that a champion like Fiora does. He's much more skill-based, much more ability-based, which means that, you know, he actually needs to win out early to make sure that 4-1 works.
Yeah, and it's also very hard for him to find value in team fights as well, right? Because he needs his flash to get access onto the backline. He doesn't have a big gap close. He's pretty binary in how he approaches a fight, which then allows Lil V to prepare himself, set himself up, and just unload onto a target like an Aatrox. So by the time Aatrox actually gets onto the target without, you know, double dash and a flash, he might just be playing with maybe 50% HP, and then you have to literally hit every single ability with your ultimate on to get back to a reasonable health standpoint.
All right, we are heading into the Infernal Soul. J-Team already at 3 stacks. PSG have to fight this one, but so far these chokes have been killing them. It's opened up just a little bit, so maybe there's more flanking potential. We're going to have to find out how they take this one. Hanabi will have that flash, I believe, up just as the fight is about to begin, but that shouldn't be a problem for them. But I feel like PSG can't choose to run in. I feel like running in for them, the way it's gone the last 2 times, has been pretty bad. Maybe the pick is the answer. Bay is going to drop down the event horizon. Ari has to teleport in, but he's so far away from the action. And Little V is caught inside the pit. That's the main damage dealer right there. He gets a massive Infernum right down 200 years. There you are. It's been a while, but welcome back. And PSG are absolutely decimated. J-Team chased down the rest of them. Decimating sets, double kill for Driver. And even with that start, J-Team wipe him.
Oh my god. They
What
just...
a barbecue!
Holy moly, they got scorched. Korea, he's feeling himself too. He is just popping off in that camera. He understands, like, this time Lil V with this build makes a lot more sense here because all he has to do is just unload however much damage he can get, and boom, Infernum goes out, and they just get blasted. And it's so easy to clean up because for the side of PSG, they in general have no damage. It's not just all the damage is onto one champion like the side of J Team in Lil V, but because you've gone for Shrelia's Veigar, you've gone for an Aatrox, and you have a lethality Zyda that's very far behind, your damage is pretty middling.
Yeah, I think middling is being a bit generous, if I'm to be completely honest right there. They took a full 5-man Infernum to the face plus the collateral damage. And I was just like, oh, instant GG, boys. Let's wrap it up. So we'll see how PSG can deal after this one. A massive lead here, and Uniboy's flying in for the kill. Hanabi might be the most fed member, and he is 1v2ing quite well. Pops the World Ender, turns around for some more dive, but Driver is also on his back. That's 1v3. Hanabi, can he get something back? It would be absolutely insane. So far, he's trying so well. He's got the mid-jump down low, but he still will fall.
He may be tanky in the 1v1, but there's just way too many members. And now Driver, he wants mid lane.
Oh, he can go right back past the... he doesn't find it. That'd be pretty epic.
Well, they did get +1 AP on that, at least. But is 1 AP going to make the difference? Probably not, because again, it's a lot more about the utility with the Veigar with this build, and there's just way too much damage having to deal with this Infernum Soul. So now for PSG, how do you get back into this game? You just buy as much time as you can and hope for a flip around Elder Soul.
Yeah, the kill so far has been 12-1. They've only managed to take down Little V just once, and that was a team effort.
Raid boss down. It's a win. We did it.
Yeah, I really feel to see how PSG win in an extended fight. I feel like they need to do a pick, back off, do a pick, pack off. That's probably the best way to solve this one out.
Yeah, they need 2 or 3 picks to then be able to take up the straight fight, which does not bode well. So now J-Team, they understand that. It's like, hey, if we just start an objective, PSG can't go into us because they need several picks before they can take the straight-on fight. And now Shrelia is running straight in.
Everfrost onto Juan. They nearly kill him right there. That's only the 2-man. Uniboy flying in, and the jungler has to back out. That was a 2v5, and they still held the fort. Now Driver comes charging in, but everyone has already retreated. J-Team, get what they came here for with the bear.
All right, Hanabi. How much 1v9 can you pull off here? Because that is their sole condition to stall out the game. Not even win the game, to stall out the game here. But for the side of the J-Team, it's only 28 minutes in the game. PSG, they don't have real items online yet. You can just brute force a lot of these things. They brute force the Baron, they brute force tier 2 top lane, and now we'll see what else they can brute force here, because a lot of these turrets pretty much gone. And it's only these inhib towers and that tier 2 in that bottom lane. So it's just maximizing how much gold they can get and then just finishing the game off of the Elder Dragon fight.
Yeah, at this point, J-Team has such an easy path to victory. Like you said, you know, the front to back is in their favor, the damage scaling and everything, and PSG just can't match at this point. So very, you know, just not trying to overcomplicate things. They're going to march down this bottom lane as for Uniboy on the side here. He's dealing a lot of damage himself. Little B does have the gravity to threaten, so the defenders here have to be very, very careful. And Driver just goes straight in for the kill. He's going to get the Feather Storm. We see the Moonlight Fiddle deal tons of damage, and Unified has seen enough. He's going straight back to the fountain. J-Team now advancing on the tier 2. Coming, looking for a flanking position right here. Oh, yeah, that's true. They can only hold out with the W, but that's AoE damage, and it's not going to punch through all the minions at the same time. They finally do get it to drop Event Horizon on Driver. Driver barely feels that one. And Uniboy continues onto the mid inhibitor. We're looking at Juhan and Kaiwing. Those are your two big engage options. TP going to come in. Make sure the bot lane goes down. And now Uniboy goes in. Can he land the Charm? Everfrost down already. He does find Hanabi right off the bat. That's the main damage dealer gone. And into the backline, Driver goes. He smashes directly into two. Unified not even able to flash away. And PSG are wiped from the map. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to a Game 5 in Silver Scrapes.
Oh my lord, J-Team, they dominate game number 4. It's not even close. PSG keel over, and J-Team just absolutely decimate them. 16 kills to 1. This was a draft gap from the start to finish, and it feels like these past couple of games have just been draft gaps. And the issue is, I think it's more so about J-Team draft gapping themselves rather than PSG finding the adaptations to win the game.
Yeah, I feel like the idea here from PSG was very simplified. They just wanted to deny the side of J-Team from getting their best chance, and to their credit, they did do that through the Viego Lee Sin bans and making sure that Uniboy wasn't as impactful. But on the flip side, their own composition didn't make much sense. They were hanging on a very bare thread with the Aatrox coming out ahead, and when some accidents happened, especially in the bot lane, they just had no ways to play. Like, I feel like if you look at that comp, it was a very narrow win condition.
Very, very narrow win condition in that game for them. And when that 2v2 goes south, then you don't have any gold to carry out the lane advantage you should have in that bot lane. Your mid lane is going for the utility. So it's all about that one item power spike. And we saw on one items, yes, they were able to kill Lil V, but they lost everyone else. So that one item power spike that was supposed to be there just went up in absolute smoke.
This is probably the most crushing defeat that PSG has suffered in their entire season, 16-1. I don't think they've ever had a game where they had so few kills. We're going to be taking a look at the draft again. This time around, as you mentioned, I like that you keep on hammering this home, but Aphelios has the front line to play with. They get the carry onto Kongya, so all of our conditions are met here. PSG, they have the winning top side. That's true. But that's it. That's also kind of just it. I don't like this Veigar pick. I honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the pure utility Veigar. It barely feels like
I think it was
pick.
more so the build.
Yeah.
But also in this instance, when you know that Aphelios is just going to come out in a second phase anyways, like you need something to kill the Aphelios. This is a front to back comp that the side of PSG constructed, but it's with a lethality AD carry. So they don't win out in the elongated fights, which was the issue. If this was maybe an MF, you deal enough burst damage with the ultimate that maybe you can clean up afterwards. You have enough upfront damage with an MF, but again, the Xayah pick just has not panned out. 3 games of it, and it's just not looked good.
Yeah, to be fair, it has been, I think, a lot of laning mistakes coming out from, like, in theory, they should have won their lane. There's no doubt about that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, in theory, a lot of these lanes should have looked very, very different. And somehow we've seen PSG fumble the 2v2 way too many times.
So I guess heading into our last final game right here, PSG are going to get side selection. Do they stick to the red side once more? Because this, I think, Game 4 was a big surprise to see J-Team actually go for blue side preemptively.
Yeah, and it looked like J-Team had a clear idea of what they actually wanted to draft and saying, hey, we're going to protect this Aphelios, but holy moly, this Veigar was...
Oh, it was useless. It was... Oh, my. I don't... Like, I actually like Veigar. I like his really defensive personality, but he was a real short guy this game. I got it. I gotta say. Look at that bar. Look how tiny that bar actually is. Wow.
Oh, lordy. He didn't get to compensate for anything.
No, not
in
at
that
all.
game. No.
The
absolutely
Alistar
not.
did more damage.
Yeah, Alistar found more damage. I mean, Alistar probably got all of that damage from just lane phase, let's be fair.
Oh,
but
boy.
this Veigar pick was definitely not it. There's just not enough targets that he could actually play against, and the Shurelya's build, if we're playing Shurelya's Veigar, just put him in the support role, baby.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Veigar. He does need to snowball a little bit with the Baleful Strike to reach full potential. But, of course, the MVP goes to our bot laners here. They won the 2v2. Little V carrying the Aphelios tradition strong. If you forgot about 200 years, if you think that was something in the past, well, you're wrong. MVP goes to Little V for barbecuing the entire PSG squad. 81% of kill participation. He does 22% of the damage. Even though that's not a high number, he had plenty of help, and he was willing to stand firm and bait the rest of PSG in.
Yeah, all he had to do was play cannon, play turret duty. They all charge at him. He just unloads with that Moonlight Vigil, and if they're all going to be on top of him, infinite value. And he just ran away with that game because, again, J-Team this time around in game number 4, they drafted pieces to protect an Aphelios. Who would have thought that should have been the game plan from the start?
So going into game 5, last predictions, which side is going to take the blue, and which side, in your mind, is going to go on to finals?
I mean, I think
you got 5
PSG,
seconds. Quick.
I think PSG should stay over on red side just to enable
PSG
their
red.
picks and to counter pick. And
PSG win?
it's hard to say. It should be PSG. They know what J-Team are going to play.
All right. PSG. Okay, we got it from Nightstar. PSG. Then I'm going for J-Team. After Silver Scrapes, don't go anywhere. We're going all the way.